Hello everyone, and welcome to our channel, where we share powerful journeys beyond life. Today's story unveils profound insights from the other side. Thanks for joining us.
My name is Sarah Thompson, and I teach science at a high school in Maplewood, Oregon. My life was grounded in routine, and each morning started the same, a run along the quiet streets of our small town. On one particular morning, as I jogged beneath the canopy of trees, breathing in the crisp morning air, a sudden and sharp pain pierced my chest, stopping me in my tracks. The world around me faded as I fell to the ground, clutching my chest. Everything turned into a blur as I struggled for breath, feeling life slip away. Somewhere in the distance, I faintly heard voices. Someone was calling an ambulance. I felt an odd sense of detachment, almost as if I were observing everything from afar. Moments later, my consciousness floated away from my physical body, and I found myself looking down, watching as paramedics worked frantically to revive me. Strangely, I felt no fear, only a serene calm, like I was exactly where I was meant to be. The sensation of floating intensified, and I began to rise, feeling a gentle pull guiding me upward. The frantic sounds of the paramedics' voices and the blare of sirens faded away, replaced by a soft, harmonious melody that filled the air. The colors around me grew brighter and more vibrant than any I had ever seen on Earth, swirling together in shades that defied description. Each hue seemed to carry its own warmth and resonance, filling me with a sense of peace and love that was all-encompassing. Then, as if led by an invisible force, I moved effortlessly into a vast open space, filled with a radiance that seemed to emanate from every corner. I was surrounded by an indescribable beauty, with fields of flowers in colors beyond my imagination, each petal glowing with an inner light. The air was rich with a fragrance I couldn't place, both familiar and otherworldly. I realized I was no longer bound by the limitations of my earthly senses. Everything felt enhanced, deeper, more meaningful. As I took in the wonder of this new world, I sensed a presence nearby, one that felt both comforting and familiar. Turning, I saw my grandmother, who had passed away when I was a child. She looked vibrant and youthful, radiating a warmth that immediately put me at ease. Her eyes sparkled with life as she approached, wrapping me in a loving embrace. I could feel her love surrounding me, flowing into every part of my being. Without words, my grandmother communicated that she had been waiting for me, here in this beautiful realm. Her presence filled me with a profound peace, and she gently explained that my journey was not yet over. There was something I needed to learn, something I needed to understand before returning to my earthly life. She took my hand and led me forward, deeper into this world of light and love. My grandmother guided me to a place she called the Third Heaven, a realm where souls came to rest, reflect, and prepare for the next phase of their journey. This place was unlike anything I had ever imagined, with landscapes that seemed to shift and transform with every thought and feeling. Souls moved gracefully through the space, each one emanating a light of its own, creating an atmosphere of profound serenity. In one area, I saw souls resting peacefully, bathed in a gentle glow. My grandmother explained that these souls were here to recuperate, to find solace after their journeys on Earth before moving forward in their spiritual evolution. In another part of the realm, I saw souls engaged in what appeared to be learning and growth, guided by beings of light who radiated wisdom and compassion. They were learning lessons beyond what Earth could teach, expanding their understanding and refining their spirits. There was also a darker area, where souls appeared more distant from the light, as if struggling with shadows of their own making. My grandmother explained that these were souls who had become lost in cycles of fear and anger, but were being aided by angels and other higher beings. These souls were not abandoned, but given endless opportunities to return to love and light. As I walked beside my grandmother through the luminous fields, an indescribable radiance began to fill the atmosphere. I felt the presence of an overwhelming yet gentle energy, a warmth that seemed to wrap around me, filling every part of my being with pure love and peace. My grandmother paused, her gaze lifting toward the growing light, her face serene and reverent. She didn't need to say a word. I understood instinctively that we were in the presence of something profoundly sacred. As the light grew brighter, it took on a form, one that seemed both human and divine, enveloped in an energy that was blinding yet soft, powerful yet calming. Standing before me, I recognized the figure immediately: Christ. His presence was unlike anything I had ever felt, so pure, so deeply compassionate, that it was almost too much to bear. I could feel his gaze penetrate to the depths of my soul, knowing every part of me, even the hidden places I had kept from myself. Though he said nothing at first, his eyes held a kindness and an understanding that felt boundless, as if he saw not only my life but every life connected to mine, every joy and sorrow, every struggle and triumph. His presence communicated a message beyond words, a profound knowing that I was deeply, unconditionally loved, not for what I had achieved or failed to do, but simply for being. In an instant, memories of my life began to appear, yet they felt different, as though infused with a new clarity, a perspective that I had never had before. I saw myself at various ages: as a child, shy and eager to please; as a teenager, struggling with insecurities; as an adult, weighed down by responsibilities, doubts, and fears. Every memory, even those I had hidden or forgotten, came into view, not as a series of events, but as a tapestry woven together with purpose and meaning. As I relived these moments, I felt no judgment, no shame, only a compassionate understanding of the choices I had made and the motivations behind them. Christ's gaze held steady, gently guiding me to see each memory through the eyes of love, revealing to me how often I had acted out of fear rather than love, how many times I had clung to anger, resentment, or guilt instead of releasing them. I realized that these moments had become barriers, blocking the light within me, keeping me from fully embracing the love that was my true nature. Christ's presence was like a mirror, reflecting not only my past but also the person I was meant to be. Through his gaze, I could see the path I had walked and the path that lay ahead, filled with opportunities to grow, to forgive, to love more deeply. His love showed me that I didn't have to carry the weight of my regrets or shortcomings. I could release them and choose a different way. I understood in that moment that my life was not a series of random events but a journey, a sacred unfolding that had brought me closer to this very place. Then, as if responding to my thoughts, Christ began to convey his message directly to my heart. Love, he seemed to say, is not merely an action or an ideal. It is the essence of who you are. It is the bond that connects all souls, the truth that endures beyond time and space. His words, though silent, resonated within me, as if they were awakening a memory I had always known yet forgotten. He showed me how love, when fully embraced, could dissolve fear, transform pain, and bring healing to wounds both visible and hidden. I understood that this was the path of the soul, the purpose of life itself: to remember love, to express it, to live in harmony with it. He revealed to me that our earthly lives are opportunities to practice love in all its forms: compassion, forgiveness, kindness, and that each act of love, no matter how small, contributes to the light that connects all of creation. As I stood in awe, absorbing the depth of his words, Christ showed me not only my life but also glimpses of the lives of others, their struggles, their joys, their moments of doubt and grace. I realized that, just as I had judged myself harshly, I had often done the same to others. His presence gently guided me to release these judgments, to understand that every soul is on a unique journey, learning, growing, and evolving in its own way. For what felt like eternity, I stood in this holy presence, bathed in a love that was beyond words, beyond comprehension. Christ's light illuminated not only my own soul, but also the divine within each person I had ever known or would come to know. I saw that my life, my actions, my choices were all interconnected with those of others, forming a vast tapestry woven with the threads of love, compassion, and grace. Then, as his message settled into my heart, Christ's form began to fade back into the radiant light from which he had come. But his essence remained, a steady, guiding presence that would stay with me long after this encounter. I felt a deep gratitude, an awe that could not be contained in words. As he disappeared into the light, I knew that I had been given a gift, a vision of life's true purpose, a reminder that love is the only reality that endures. With this newfound understanding, I felt ready to continue my journey, to return to the world with a mission to share this love, to live in a way that reflected the peace and joy I had experienced. As I prepared to leave, my heart overflowed with gratitude for this encounter, this revelation, this call to live with a love that transcends all barriers. And as I looked to my grandmother, who had waited patiently beside me, I knew that my life would never be the same. After the transformative encounter with Christ, I was still enveloped in the divine light that surrounded me, as if suspended in a realm between worlds. My grandmother, who had been quietly by my side, looked at me with a gentle smile, as if she already knew what was to come. Her gaze held a mixture of pride and encouragement, reminding me that there was a reason for everything I had experienced here. Though I had felt the immense peace and wholeness of this place, a new feeling began to emerge within me, a purpose calling me back to the life I had left behind. The scene around us shifted, and I found myself in a beautiful, open field, filled with colors so vivid they seemed to pulse with life. Everything in this place seemed to carry an energy of growth and transformation, as if the very ground beneath me was alive with intention. In this ethereal field, I could feel the presence of beings who seemed to move with grace and purpose. Some walked alone, deep in thought, while others gathered in groups, discussing things I couldn't fully understand but sensed were matters of deep importance. My grandmother explained that these souls were preparing for their own journeys or reflecting on lives they had already lived. As I observed, it became clear that everyone here was engaged in their own process of learning, healing, and evolving, much like how I had been shown my own life through Christ's eyes. I realized that every soul here was in some stage of growth, working through lessons they had either begun on earth or were preparing to explore in a future life. The atmosphere was one of gentle purpose, as if each soul was carefully refining itself, becoming more aligned with the love and truth of this realm. My grandmother turned to me, her expression now serious but kind. "You too have a purpose, Emma," she said softly, calling me by name in a way that felt both familiar and profoundly sacred. "Your time on earth is not yet complete. There are things you must learn and share, ways in which you can help others see beyond the illusions of fear and separation." Her words stirred something deep within me. I felt both humbled and invigorated by the thought that my life had meaning beyond my individual experiences and challenges. I began to understand that every struggle, every moment of pain or joy, was part of a greater design, one that allowed me to connect with others, to offer love, and to be a source of light in a world that often felt shrouded in darkness. "Your journey," my grandmother continued, "is not only for your own growth but also to inspire and guide others. The things you have learned here are not meant to be kept within you. They are gifts meant to be shared, to remind others of their own divinity and the love that connects us all." Her words resonated with a truth that felt as ancient as the universe itself, a truth that had been forgotten in the busy rush of my earthly life. I recalled the times I had allowed fear to shape my decisions, moments when I had felt alone or uncertain, unaware of the vast love that surrounded me. And yet, standing here in this place of perfect understanding, I realized that every experience I had ever had was woven into the fabric of my soul for a reason. My mind was flooded with images, visions of people I would encounter, individuals who were searching for something more, yearning for a sense of purpose, just as I had been. I saw myself speaking to them, sharing my story, not to convince them of any particular truth, but to offer them a glimpse of the love and unity that I had seen. I sensed that my role was to be a bridge, a reminder that there was a greater reality beyond the physical, a place of peace, love, and eternal growth. Christ's message echoed in my heart. Love is the answer to every question, the solution to every pain. I understood now that this love was not merely a feeling or an ideal. It was a force, a guiding light that could lead us all back to wholeness. My grandmother looked at me as if she could sense my newfound understanding and nodded gently. "Emma," she said, "when you return, remember this moment. Remember that love is what brought you here and what will guide you forward. You are never alone, even in moments of doubt. The love that surrounds you here is the same love that fills your soul and connects you to every other being." I felt a surge of resolve. The peace of this place was so pure, so encompassing, that it was difficult to think about leaving it. But I knew now that my journey wasn't complete. I had a mission: to live in a way that reflected the truth of this place, to embody the love that I had seen, and to help others remember their own divinity. With that, I turned back toward the path that had led me here, feeling the support of my grandmother, the warmth of Christ's message, and the quiet assurance of the council's wisdom. I knew the road ahead would be challenging, filled with moments that might test my newfound understanding. But I was ready, armed with the certainty that my life had a purpose, that my presence could make a difference, and that the love I had experienced here was my true foundation. In that moment, a gentle light began to envelop me, guiding me back to my earthly body. The field, my grandmother, and the peaceful souls around me began to fade, yet I felt no fear. I was carrying a piece of this place within me, a light that would continue to burn, reminding me of the beauty, purpose, and love that awaited beyond the veil. And as I returned, I felt a renewed sense of purpose, to live a life guided by love, a life that would honor the sacred journey I had been shown. As I stood in the presence of Jesus, I began to experience what he described as the moment of realization. It was as if I were being shown my life from a higher perspective, seeing not only my actions but also their impact on others. This was not a judgment, but a revelation, an opportunity to understand the consequences of my choices with complete clarity. In that moment, I felt a profound humility and gratitude. I understood that my life had meaning beyond what I could comprehend, that every interaction, every choice, was part of a larger design. I felt a deep resolve to live with intention, to make choices that would reflect the love I had experienced in this realm. The light around me began to dim, and I felt a gentle pull, guiding me back to my physical body. I looked at my grandmother one last time, and she smiled, radiating a love that I knew would stay with me forever. I understood that my time here had come to an end, and though I longed to stay, I knew I had to return to fulfill the purpose I had been shown. With a final blessing from Jesus, I felt myself descending, moving through layers of light and warmth until I was back in the hospital room. I awoke to the familiar beeping of machines, my body weak and sore, but my heart filled with a sense of peace and purpose that I had never known. After my return, a profound shift occurred in how I perceived the world around me. The colors, sounds, and sensations of daily life seemed both familiar and yet somehow hollow, like reflections of something infinitely deeper. I felt as if I were seeing through layers, past the physical surfaces that once defined my reality, into an unseen realm where every experience held meaning and every action was woven into a greater fabric. One afternoon, as I sat in my quiet living room, I found myself drifting into a deep meditation. The stillness enveloped me, allowing my thoughts to settle until a calm clarity emerged. In this state, I felt the presence of the council, as though they were gently guiding me to look beyond what I had accepted as reality. I recalled their words, the images they had shown me of humanity bound by illusions, often unable to recognize the divine essence within each of us. The council had shown me that our earthly lives are clouded by layers of fear and separation. They called this the veil, a kind of spiritual blindness that prevents us from seeing the unity that connects us all. In that quiet space, I understood that the veil wasn't an external force imposed on us, but something we had collectively created through our attachment to fear, doubt, and control. By choosing to see ourselves as isolated, finite beings, we became trapped in a narrow version of reality. With this understanding, I could sense the subtle undercurrents of fear that flowed through much of human existence. Fear shapes our choices, governs our actions, and often keeps us bound to limited ideas of who we are. I remembered the times in my own life when I had let fear dictate my path. Fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of not being enough. Each of these fears, though powerful, was a construct, a false barrier that obscured the love and potential that existed within me. The council's message was clear: the reality we experience is often a reflection of our inner state. If we live in fear, we create a world that mirrors that fear. But if we choose love, we begin to see life as it truly is, boundless, interconnected, and infinitely rich with possibility. The council had shown me a glimpse of a world beyond fear, a place where souls existed in harmony, unburdened by the limitations we place on ourselves. And now, I understood that it was my role to bring this awareness back to my own life and to share it with others. One of the most challenging realizations I faced was the understanding of manipulation and control woven into human systems. It was unsettling to recognize that much of society was structured around maintaining the very illusions that keep us separated from our true selves. From the time we are young, We are conditioned to fit into roles, to chase security, to measure our worth by external achievements. This conditioning fosters a mindset of scarcity and competition, leading us to see life as something to be conquered rather than embraced. Yet, the Council's teachings had revealed a different perspective. In their presence, I had seen that true power comes from unity, from recognizing that we are all part of the same divine essence. There was no need to control, dominate, or compete, for each soul's journey was unique, unfolding with perfect timing and purpose. The only thing required of us was to let go of fear and embrace love, to trust in the wisdom of our soul's path. As I reflected on this, I realized that the world's structure wasn't something to rebel against, but rather to transcend. It wasn't about fighting or resisting, but about recognizing that these systems hold no real power over us once we remember who we truly are. The Council's message was one of liberation through understanding. They had shown me that each of us has the power to lift the veil, to see beyond the illusions that keep us bound, and to live from a place of inner freedom. I began to notice how this awareness affected my interactions with others. I could sense the subtle layers of fear and doubt that colored people's words and actions, often without them realizing it. It was as though they were wearing invisible masks, projecting versions of themselves shaped by society's expectations. But beneath these masks, I could feel their true essence, the pure, radiant soul that lay hidden beneath layers of conditioning. In moments of conversation,